Hi, this is Bill Varney from FishTheSurf.com, and today we're going to talk about ghost shrimp, how to hook them and how to fish them in the surf. You know, many anglers ask me what kind of fish like ghost shrimp, and the answer to that is very simple: whatever fish gets to them first. Every single fish, whether it's a rockfish or you're looking at corbina, spotfin croaker, yellowfin croaker, I would even guess even a tuna, love ghost shrimp. So it's very important to know how to hook them correctly. Now, ghost shrimp themselves can be found in almost any intertidal area. So that would be estuaries, harbors, inner bay areas. You'll find them in the sand, and normally they'll be beneath a small hole. Now, commonly, we would use a pump like this, a ghost shrimp pump, in order to pump them out of the sand, spit them out onto the beach, and put them in our bait carrier. Another way to get ghost shrimp, and certainly a lot easier, is at your local tackle shop. Recently, Hooked on Tackle began supplying ghost shrimp to many Southern California bait shops, so look for them there. So let's just take a moment now to look at the proper way to hook them and the type of hooks that we're going to use for fishing with ghost shrimp. So now we're ready to hook the ghost shrimp. Now there's three different hooks that I like to use when hooking ghost shrimp. One would be the Kahle hook. And Kahle hooks, Mustad makes, just about Gamakatsu, just about all the hook makers make a offset Kahle hook. The second would be a Sproat or a worm hook. Once again, Mustad, Gamakatsu as the worm hook. They work great. And then the last hook here is a Gamakatsu 50409 bait hook that we often use for sand crabs. You can also find a very similar hook to this, which is the owner mosquito hook. So the most common hook in the past was the Kahle hook, which is this larger hook. And with that, what we're going to do is we're going to take the ghost shrimp and we're going to turn it over on its back like this. So of course this is its tail, and then this is where its guts are. This is where its carapace or legs are, and this is going to be the strongest part of the entire bait. So we're going to want to have the hook go up the middle of the body, exit here. That way we can get a nice, good cast out of it without having to worry about it flying off the hook. So you're going to start down here in the tail, going to go right through the middle of the shrimp, right up its stomach, let's say, through the middle. You're going to slide it up the hook as you move along. You can have the hook go all the way through that gut section, and then you're going to have the hook exit right between the legs, and that's exactly how you want to hook that bait. Very, very simple. Doesn't have to be perfectly straight on the hook. As long as that hook is exiting between the legs, it's going to stay on there well. You'll be able to get a pretty good cast out of that bait, for example. So it goes right on the hook, the eye of the hook comes out its tail, the business end or the sharp end comes out between its legs, and then on that opposite side, of course, is the orangey red color that makes it look so realistic. So that's one way. The second way is using these long shank worm hooks or Sproat hooks. Many of them have little barbs that they've got on the shaft here, which helps to hold the bait into place. And what we're going to do with that is exactly the same thing. We're going to start down here at the tail. We're going to insert the hook right through the tail, through the very middle section of the ghost shrimp, and then out between the legs, which we're going to do here at the end. And then once again, pull this up on the hook a little bit. Once again, there you have the hook going through the very center of the ghost shrimp, presenting all of its shape and colors on the other side. The line coming really right out of the tail there. Gives it a very natural look in the water, but acts as the very best way to hook the bait, because the hook is going and exiting through where the legs are, the carapace of its body, which is by far the strongest part. And then the last one we're going to use is the Gamakatsu split shot drop shot hook. Also, the Owner mosquito hook is going to work well for this. It's a very thin wire, very sharp hook. So we're going to take that, and it's going to be a little bit different here. We're going to enter it through the tail, but because the hook is not long enough to make it all the way through the body, we're going to go underneath its swimmers there. We're going to take the hook, we're going to pop it out, we're going to grab the end of the hook, pull it all the way through. So now there's only line going through the tail, and then we're going to take the hook, we're going to turn it around, and then we're going to enter it between those legs. We don't need to, in either case, and you can see how that works. Once again, you have the back, which looks great with the pinchers, and then on the bottom side here, it goes through the meat, through the meat, goes really over the gut section, and then it's entered right between those legs right there, and they're very hard, the carapace point of the ghost shrimp. And that way you can get a good strong cast. Now remember, with these baits, you don't have to worry about, as with the sand crab for example, of having the hook, the sharp end sticking out of the ghost shrimp. Just as long as it's somewhere in the ghost shrimp is fine. This bait is such a soft bait that it'll be very easy for the fish to bite the bait, and then for the hook to actually punch through the bait into the top of the fish's mouth. So those three examples, they give you three good examples of how to hook ghost shrimp. One would be with the Kahle hook, going all the way through the body and exiting between the legs. The second would be with a Sproat or worm hook all the way through the body, once again exiting through the legs. And then the third one would be an Owner mosquito hook or a Gamakatsu split shot drop shot hook, very thin, very sharp wire, which goes through the meat of the tail, exits, and then is turned back around and punched through between the legs. All three of these options will make it easy for you to make a good cast, get your bait into position, and get a bite. One thing to always remember with all surf baits, whether they're sand crabs or ghost shrimp, cast out, I normally use a fan casting motion and slowly retrieve towards shore. You always want to be tight to your sinker, and there's a couple reasons for that. One would be because the fish inhale bait, that's what surf fish do, and crush the bait in the back of their throat and spit the bait out. The other reason would be that these are such soft baits that you don't want the fish to have any more than a second or two on that bait, or it will easily take it off the hook. So as you're retrieving towards shore, as soon as you feel a pull on your line, reel down, lift up your rod. Most of the time you'll have a fish. If you don't, let it back down to the bottom immediately. 9 out of 10 times, if there's a bait left on there, they'll come back for it. So that's exactly how we hook ghost shrimp for the surf. So that demonstration of hooking will give you a very good idea of how to hook ghost shrimps and how to fish them at the beach. One thing to remember about ghost shrimps is that they're very fragile. And so the best thing to do is when you purchase them in a store, you want to keep them in the refrigerator. You want to annoy them as little as possible and take them down to the beach and use them for fishing. They live in a very tight temperature range, so anything over about 70 degrees will allow them to degrade very quickly. If you catch them yourself, you can keep them in a small aquarium. I usually use about a 5-gallon aquarium, about halfway full of salt water. I float a frozen bottle of water in that, so the water, the ambient temperature of the water is very cool. That way they'll become more crisp. They like that cooler water. And then I take that water, a lot of times in a small ice chest, right to the beach and use those for bait. So ghost shrimp, one of the very best baits you can use in the surf. They're great for perch, corbina, spotfin croaker, yellowfin croaker, sharks, just about everything you'll find in the surf. If you'd like more information about surf fishing and about ghost shrimp in particular, go to my educational site, fishthesurf.com. If you'd like to see the equipment that I use on the beach every day, check out my store, surffishtackle.com. Thank you everybody for watching.